Hey guys, welcome into PlayStation Vita video blog number 8. Hard to believe we're up to number 8 already, but here we are. I know I haven't been getting these blogs up once a week like I do intend to, like I hope to here in the future, but I have been really busy. I've been busy with work, I've been busy with family, I've been busy with a lot of things, and I'm still trying to play games, of course. Been trying to get some gameplay videos up as well. But there is a lot of news and announcements that have come out and things to talk about, so I figured today we definitely have to get a video blog up, so here we are. Things we'll talk about today. The sales of the Vita, of course, is what we usually start off with, so we will start off with that. We'll talk about sales. After that, we'll talk about a couple of announcements. One about the game Sumioni and an American release there. Talk about Sony's upcoming conference. Could be some big news here, but where they have the conference announcement, so I'll talk about that. Following that, we'll have 2 game reviews for you today. We have a review of Ragnarok Odyssey first up, and it's one I know, I've been playing for quite a while here. I know quite a bit about it, but I finally did finish it, so I feel like I can talk about it a little bit. Following that, we'll have a Lumines review, and Lumines is a game I've gotten more recently, but I pretty much have done everything there is to do in the game, except for, score attack it to the max, which I will keep doing, so I will review Lumines here in this video blog today. And yeah, after that, we'll see if anything else pops up, but that is the general itinerary for the day. So here we go. Why don't we get right into it, as we always do. First up, let's go ahead and talk about sales. We have a couple of announcements. First up, Sony did announce very shortly after the Western release that the Vita has now sold 1.2 million units worldwide. And this is sales, this is not shipped numbers. So Sony often talks about shipped numbers, which gives you a very vague picture, because if Sony ships 1 million units, it does obviously not mean that 1 million units are going to sell. However, this 1.2 million units worldwide is based on the estimation of units sold and not units shipped, so it is a pretty good number. This number is obviously not amazing. It doesn't come close to what the 3DS did in its early time there. But, for the Vita, we all pretty much knew from the offset that this thing was not going to sell what the 3DS sold right away, and it's not going to sell what the 3DS is selling now. That's okay. The market's a little bit different. So this number, 1.2 million worldwide, it's not horrible. It's not amazing again, but it's not that bad. It's a pretty good number. And people were saying, why are they announcing specifically the world number instead of announcing each region, what it sold in Europe, what it sold in the States, etc. I get it. On one hand, maybe sales in one region were specifically low. I've heard that Europe might have been specifically low, I think the biggest thing is it sold 1.2 million units. You want to talk in terms of million units. So I completely get what Sony's doing with that. 1.2 million units. It's quite a bit of units. It's good to think that there are 1.2 million Vitas out there in people's hands now. It's very nice to think about, because up until right before the Western launch, obviously there were only around 600,000. So it pretty much means that, yeah, in Europe and the States, basically it sold 600,000 day one, or pretty close. Not horrible numbers again, not bad. So here we go. The second announcement, or not really announcement, but the news. I always give the weekly update on the Vita situation here in Japan. And last week it sold 11,186 units. This is the lowest number it has posted yet weekly. It seems to be basically dropping by about 1,000 a week. So, a few weeks ago it was 14,000 something, 13,000 something, 12,000 something. Now we're at 11,000 something. Obviously this is not a good number. It's very, very low. But there is an announcement coming up soon that will hopefully shed some positive light on what the future of the Vita holds, particularly for Japan. I was a little bit surprised with this number, to be honest. Maybe I shouldn't have been. Surprised in a good way. Obviously, this is not a good number, but honestly, I thought it might drop a little bit further, because last week was really the first week where nothing good came out. Ninja Gaiden Sigma Plus did come out in Japan on the week that these numbers are posted for. It was the only Vita game to come out that week, but first of all, in Japan, it's full priced. I know it is in the West as well, but it's full priced. It's a port of a game that's been around forever. And to top it all off, you'd think Ninja Gaiden's a very Japanese series, but actually Ninja Gaiden does not sell well in Japan at all, surprisingly enough. That really surprised me when I found out, but even the new iterations, like Ninja Gaiden 3 coming out later this month, it's not expected to sell very many copies at all. It's just not really a series that sells that well, and I don't know if it's that they don't really like the type of game it is, or maybe it kind of has its roots in the fact that the first game was on Xbox. You know, it was only on Xbox. The first, obviously, in this rebirth of Ninja Gaiden. Of course, I know all about the Nintendo originals. They're great games, but yeah, this rebirth starting in 2003 or 2004 was on the Xbox with Ninja Gaiden. And as I'm sure you all know, the Xbox sells peanuts in Japan. It barely sells at all. So maybe since that time, people just haven't, you know, there was never, you know, this big outburst of Ninja Gaiden fans that showed up. Obviously, since then, we've had Ninja Gaiden Sigma on the PS3, Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2 on the PS3. But yeah, none of this sells very well is what I want to get at. So Ninja Gaiden didn't even show up, as far as I saw, in the top 50 games sold last week, and it was a new release. So we're only about 10 of those are new releases, and about the other 40 are games that have been on the chart for at least a week, some of them much, much longer. For it to not even chart in the top 50, it was not unexpected, but just so you know, it didn't. So I was surprised that we only saw 1,000 drop again, because again, nothing significant came out. So this was our first real week like that, where nothing really came out. So it will be interesting to see if this 11,000 can hold to next week, because again, we have another week here where nothing really came out. If this is kind of where it will stabilize crappily for a little while, around the 10,000 mark, or if it'll continue to drop this kind of 1,000 unit per week thing. So we'll have to see exactly what goes on with that. But I am excited for the future, because next Friday, I'll transition right into it, Sony has announced a conference specifically for Japan. This is an internet video conference that they're doing. It's very similar to the Nintendo Direct conferences that Iwata and Nintendo Japan do, which helped spark a lot of interest back into the 3DS. It's kind of a straight to you, you know, not necessarily YouTube, but like a video that they put up and just show to everyone. So this is something that Sony's doing, and this conference will be shown. We don't know if it's going to be live or if it's going to be released, pre-recorded and released, but it's going to be shown on Friday, March 9th, so this next Friday, at 8 p.m. Japanese time. And just so you guys know, I'm sure you'll appreciate it, that is 3 a.m. Friday morning Pacific time, or 6 a.m. Friday morning Eastern time. Okay, so when you wake up on Friday, those of you in the States, hopefully you'll have some good announcements. We don't really know. It's still kind of shrouded in mystery as to what exactly they'll be talking about and announcing. But let's take a look at it. First of all, here are the facts that we know. Sony has said that they will have developers on hand to talk about their particular games. So we know of 4 people that will definitely be there. 2 of them are people that we, or you know, actually 3 people, but from 2 different companies, are people that we pretty much knew or not surprised that they're going to be there, and that is Kondo-san and Nakano-san. They're both from Falcom. We know that they're redoing Zero no Kiseki for the PlayStation Vita, game in the Legend of Heroes series. So we know that they're redoing that game for the Vita, and they've also announced Ys, another Ys remake. I think it's Ys 4 that they're remaking on the Vita now. So we know that Falcom's doing stuff, so I'm sure that they'll definitely show off and talk about Zero no Kiseki, and they might talk about Ys as well. We've had less info on that one. Zero no Kiseki is due for August release. Okay. Next up, we have Hashino-san, who is behind Persona. This is another one. We know Persona 4 is in the works. There's been a lot of hubbub, a lot of talk about it recently. We got a release date for that. It will be coming out in early June. So yeah, I guess I haven't talked about that, but Persona 4 has come out in Japan in early June, which hopefully means before the end of the year for an overseas release. I'm sure that's one that'll see an overseas release, so don't worry too much about that. Atlus is very good about that. So yeah, Kondo and Nakano from Falcom and Hashino from Atlus with Persona. Those aren't really surprises. They'll be there talking about those games. The 2 surprises, or the 2 people that we can get a little bit more excited about, we have Sakai-san, and he's behind Phantasy Star. So this could be a big announcement or a megaton huge announcement, for me personally anyway. The big announcement would be the equivalent of Phantasy Star Portable 3 for the Vita. Whatever they're going to call it, there's been some names thrown around like Phantasy Star Victory. We don't really know anything more than just that the names were trademarked. But yeah, if this is Phantasy Star Portable 3 for the Vita, that will be really, really freaking huge. Not only because those games sold really well, they're not like million sellers, but they're you know, definitely in the six figures, and I believe the original PlayStation, sorry, Phantasy Star Portable on PSP, I think that was the biggest seller in the series so far, was in the high six digits, like 6, 7, 800,000, something like that. So yeah, for me, I played those games a lot, Phantasy Star Portable 1, 2, and Infinity, which was kind of the expansion pack for 2, and those games gave me that first rebirth feeling of Phantasy Star Online. When Phantasy Star Universe came out, I was so excited for it because I loved Phantasy Star Online, and it sucked right away. They did fix it up a little later. It got a little bit more fun, but it was just not that great. With these Phantasy Star Portables, they took all of the good things in Universe, because there were some good things, but they stripped all the crap that wasn't necessary, making items, crafting stuff. Instead of finding rare weapons, you were always finding rare materials that you had to kind of use to craft stuff. We don't want that in our game. So they stripped all that shit, and they made Phantasy Star Portable, and these games were awesome. So if this is Phantasy Star Portable 3, that could be a huge one, especially if we're still not hearing anything about Monster Hunter. Behind Monster Hunter, Phantasy Star is definitely in the next tier, along with God Eater. Those are probably the two. So God Eater 2 we know is announced for the PSP. We'll see if we hear anything further about that, maybe getting a dual Vita PSP release. We'll see if Sony's got anything up their sleeve for that, but it sounds like we might have a Phantasy Star on the way, which would be great. And the other man who will be there to talk, to show something off, is Terada-san, and he's behind the Super Robot Wars series. These games are pretty good sellers on the PSP, not as huge as Phantasy Star was. These are in the low 100,000s, so between like 100 and 300,000 here in Japan. But this is a series with a huge fan base, and I think that if the Vita had a Super Robot Wars game, it would sell the Vita to all of those Super Robot Wars fans who do not have a Vita yet. So that could be a huge one. For me personally, to be honest, I've never played a Super Robot Wars game, but this could be a pretty big announcement for some people. So pretty nice there. The other thing that we are kind of guessing at is there could be a big announcement in the Shining series. The Shining series that comes from Sega. They have said that in March, originally they said in March, they're going to be announcing the biggest thing in Shining series history. And then we also found out that it will be next week. This was last week. They said, or no, I guess this week. They said it'll be next week. It all lines up perfectly for this conference. Which is, I didn't say, the name is Yokoso PS Vita Game Tengoku, which translates to Welcome PlayStation Vita Game Heaven. So, yeah, so this could be pretty nice. So anyway, yeah, it's likely we'll see a Shining game announcement here, and it's likely, they're calling it, the Shining people are calling it the biggest announcement in series history. Those are some pretty big shoes to fill. So we could see some awesome stuff announced here. Some people are speculating at some mega bombs to be dropped. We don't really know, if a new Final Fantasy game will be announced, or if Type 0 will be announced to be ported to the Vita, if we will get a Monster Hunter game. I wouldn't speculate that these kind of things will be announced here. If they do, amazing, awesome, of course. But if they're not, I think the lineup as we know it right now, it could offer some pretty awesome stuff. Not the kind of announcements that'll suddenly turn the Vita around and make it selling, 5 times more every week, but definitely some announcements that'll help it out a lot in Japan. The other thing to realize is that this conference is for Japan, specifically. This is aimed toward Japan, so it's unlikely, or I will say it's probably a 0 or 1% possibility that we would see anything like Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, BioShock, any of these other big games that we want to see. Those, if we do see them, we'll see them at E3, which is also coming up next month. So yeah, this is aimed toward Japan. Okay. Another bit of news I noticed this morning. Pretty awesome. If any of you know who Xseed is, they are amazing. So I kind of doubt anyone from Xseed is watching this, but if you are, big props to you. You guys are an amazing localization company. Even though I play a lot of games in Japanese, what these guys do is actually something I would love to do someday, and that's bring Japanese games, and specifically a little more niche Japanese games. They bring them out to the Western market, and they do a hell of a job with their translations. So anyway, we heard an announcement from Xseed that Sumioni, a game a lot of you have probably seen that's out here in Japan. It's kind of the one with the okami art style, the kind of traditional Japanese fudepen, art style. Sumioni will be coming on March 20th, so just in a few weeks, and PSN only, but $19.99. And yes, this is a game that released at full price over here, about 5,000 yen or 60 bucks or so. This is 19.99 over there. That's epic. That's awesome. And you know, the reason I didn't buy this game is because there's probably not quite enough content there, or maybe not even content, but just the kind of game this is. It's tough to pay $60 for a 2D scroller in this day and age, but $19.99, you really have no excuse. This game has some awesome features. I would definitely recommend checking this one out. The last bit of news before we break into the reviews that I want to bring up is that I have recently joined a podcast. This is Red Sun Gamer Podcast. You can catch us at redsungamer.com. We just recorded and uploaded the 33rd episode of this podcast, my first episode and my first podcast ever. Something I got into thanks to my YouTube videos here, so I'm very happy to say that I really enjoyed doing my first podcast. I did it with two other guys, Martin and Steve. They both also live in Japan. So it's a podcast specifically about Japanese games. It's not just about the Vita, but of course we do talk about the Vita, 3DS, PS3, Xbox 360, even Wii stuff. Of course, we have Nintendo love in there as well. So yeah, check it out, redsungamer.com, or go to iTunes and search for Red Sun Gamer. And yeah, give a listen to the podcast and let us know what you think. We're trying to turn this into a weekly thing. In the past, they have been a weekly thing. However, you know, people's lives change, situations change, and all of that. But yeah, we're gonna do what we can to get some more of this up. But yeah, episode 33 just went live, so I'd recommend checking it out. A few hours there of gaming goodness, so Japanese gaming goodness, which I know you guys like. Alright, why don't we get into it? Let's do our reviews. So 2 reviews up for today, Ragnarok Odyssey and Lumines. So let's go ahead and get started. Where did I put my cases? Here they are. First game up, Ragnarok Odyssey. I know I've shown you this case in previous videos, but I like to show the case when I review a game. So here is Ragnarok Odyssey, obviously for the PlayStation Vita. Go ahead and get this reviewed. Again, if you don't know, my reviews are quite off the cuff. I don't have anything written in front of me here or anything. I'm just going to go through my thoughts, rack my brain a little bit, and talk about the game, things I like, things I don't like. So this will not sound like, you know, an editor's dream review. This is all right off the top of my head. But I know that's how some of you guys like it, so here we go. Ragnarok Odyssey is a good game. It's not a great game. Great being, you know, a 9 or a 10. It's not quite there. It is a Monster Hunter clone, a Monster Hunter ripoff. It is shameless in that fact. It's not trying to hide it. The game is completely set up like Monster Hunter. When I talk about a Monster Hunter clone or a ripoff, I'm talking about the base setup of the game, the way the town works, the way items work, and various things of that sort. It is not a Monster Hunter ripoff specifically in the gameplay department. There are certain things that are a ripoff, like you have you can get up to 4 people and you go out on quests and you're often killing bosses or small monsters or collecting items. It's much like Monster Hunter in that regard. However, the gameplay itself is fast, fluid, fun. You can jump into the air, you can dash around, you can climb up bosses. This is like a Monster Hunter with ADD, no Ritalin, drinking Red Bull and balls, and maybe a little bit of ecstasy. No, not quite that far, but yeah, this is a pretty crazy game. The gameplay is fast, it's fun, it's tight. So that's definitely where I give it some props. It's colorful, the graphics are beautiful. This game was made just for the Vita, which is great because the graphics are quite nice. The art is nice, the costumes are very cool, your character can look quite nice. There are a lot of customization options which you can later go back and re-customize. Armor looks great, the head armor also looks really great. Cool thing about all of the armor and head armor is most of it's taken from Ragnarok Online. So if you're a big Ragnarok Online fan, you will definitely have a lot of nostalgia here, at least with the armor and the head armor and the music. This game does have a specific soundtrack for it, and it is good music. It's quite good. However, one of my favorite features of this game is that in the game you can purchase, using the in-game money, obviously, not real money, you can purchase Ragnarok Online songs, many of them. We are up to about 30 now, and they keep releasing them pretty much every week for free downloads on the PSN. So yeah, we're up to about 30 Ragnarok Online songs now, because there was about 10 in the game and about 20 more, two soundtrack packs that have been released. So you can buy these tracks, and not only can you listen to them at like a music box, many games offer like the music box, but who wants to like play the music and then set their Vita there and just listen to it, you know? We have YouTube now. We don't need to do that anymore. This, you can actually set your music before any quest. You can set whatever track you like, and you can listen to it. So if you like a certain Ragnarok Online track, or even if you like a certain Ragnarok Odyssey track, yeah, you can set it, you can listen to it, you can have it be the music for your quest. It's very cool because the Ragnarok Online soundtrack is represented quite well. There's some very, very nice themes in there, some themes that really brought me back to my days leveling up in various places, and it's just really great to be able to listen to that while I play this completely different game. So I really, really like that. I really appreciated the soundtrack thing. I really appreciate that they keep supporting the game by pushing this this content out. Free costumes for your characters, slotted with cards. This is all free downloads every week. Music packs. How many games have been released where after release every week you're getting a free download on the PSN? I don't play every game out there, but you don't see it very often. Too many games these days, and I've ranted about this a little bit in the past, but too many games these days, they get all in your face about day one download content. It costs extra money. And for things like costumes, things that aren't necessary to the game, I don't really care if they want to charge for it because I just won't buy it. But when they don't charge for it and they can just throw these costumes at you for free, that's awesome. That's awesome. So props to them. Another big props to them point is that very soon, here in March, probably in a week or two, the online patch will be coming out. So I have not played this game online yet. You cannot play it online yet. I haven't even played it multiplayer because I don't know anyone around me who has it. But we'll be able to play it online. So my brother in the States actually got a Vita and has a copy of this game. So we'll be playing together. We'll check it out. So that is very cool. Very excited about that. So and that patch, of course, will be free as well. So very cool of Game Arts to go ahead and do that. And push that out along with all the other content they've been pushing out. Support like that just really helps. It's really great. So like I said, the gameplay is fun. The music is good. It has nostalgic RO, Ragnarok Online music, armor, hats, many different things. So some negative points of the game. You die too quickly. And this might sound like, oh, well, you just suck. And it is kind of that in a way. But if you screw something up, like there are times where you'll just die in a flash. Like you can't do anything. You're just dead. You're screwed. And that gets pretty annoying. You have 3 lives to clear any of the missions. And after you die a 3rd time, it's game over. Or game over as in it sends you back to the town. You actually get to keep all the stuff you've got. It's not really game over, but you fail the mission. But sometimes I was just getting cheap shotted to death, and it just bugs the crap out of you when you play with perfect strategy and all of a sudden you run up on a guy and you're just dead before you're like able to do anything. Especially on some of the later bosses, it's pretty ridiculous. The other thing that's annoying is you can get knocked down a lot, and when you get knocked down on the ground, typically you're not going to take any damage. You kind of have some frames of animation where you can't get attacked, but like your person will just get hit by some weak ass monster and fall over, and then take a little while on the ground before they finally decide, okay, let's get up. It's just really annoying. The game is so fast-paced that this just little slow part of your character just getting knocked on their ass and like hanging out for a second while you can't really do anything is pretty annoying. Now you can air dash kind of out of falls and things, that kind of situation. However, sometimes the air dash, you have to wait a little bit. So you get knocked on your ass and you're on the ground and then you're spamming square to try and get an air dash to get out of it. Kind of like a safe fall, but it doesn't let you do it for a little while, so that is pretty annoying. Some of the bosses are quite annoying. It's mostly with the one-hit kills. There are bosses later on that were one-hit killing me no matter what I did, so I had to be really, really careful walking on eggshells while fighting them. And it is kind of fun. It feels a little more strategic, but some of the bosses I just felt like I kind of not cheated to win, but it took forever, and I had to back out, and I'd run in and hit like once, and then run like 100 yards away, so I, didn't end up dying for some stupid reason. So that happened on a couple of later bosses, but overall, it's not too bad, and the boss fights are fun, fast, frantic. Like I said, later on, you can jump up enemies to get to their heads. Enemies take damage completely different based on what area you're attacking them, and you can break pieces on enemies and get extra items. So that is a neat point. Very nice. Yeah, I think I've talked well enough about this game. The only other thing I want to say about this game is that I'm currently doing a Let's Play. I got the first 30 minutes of the game up just a couple of days ago. If you haven't checked that out and you're interested, go ahead and check it out. I'm going to be doing more very soon. Hopefully I'll get, maybe another hour up maybe in my next Let's Play with this game. So definitely check it out. I'm going to be getting to some of the more fun boss fights. The thing about this game is nobody's announced it for overseas release at all yet. And so at this point we don't know if it ever will be released overseas. Which is kind of sad because it is a pretty decent game. Very happy with the purchase. I'm going to be even more happy when I'm able to play it online. It just doesn't quite have that grab on you that Monster Hunter has. Like, you just want to go for that, get that rare item and go for the next armor set. For me in this, it was kind of like, I would look and see like, oh, I can't buy this armor yet. Okay, I need some item. I don't really know where it comes from. It doesn't really distinguish it sometimes, but okay. And then like after a couple quests, I'd go back and be like, all right, well, I have the item. I'll buy this armor. Cool. And armor or weapon, whatever. Okay, cool. And buy it. And yeah, just kind of keep progressing that way. I never felt like, oh man, I got to get this new thing. I got to get this next thing. So it just doesn't quite have that kind of content in it, unfortunately. The only other one thing I want to talk about this game that I didn't like is that the armor and the headgear basically do nothing at all. Headgear itself does nothing, period. It has no defensive stats, it has no slots, it has nothing. Armor itself has slots for cards, which kind of govern your abilities. But all armor in the game can be upgraded to the same number of slots. So armor and headgear is all cosmetically based, which is kind of cool in a way because you can make your character look cool, because sometimes in games these days you got to make your character look stupid just so that you have good stats. I've definitely seen that in Monster Hunter. But in this game you can make your character look however they want, but on the negative side, yeah, armor does absolutely nothing, basically. So that is a little bit unfortunate. But again, the gameplay is fun. The game is fun. It's worth playing through. I definitely have spent quite a bit of time with it. It's a fun game. There's a lot to do. Yeah, it's a good game. So I'm going to go ahead and give Ragnarok Odyssey an 8 out of 10. If it does end up releasing over in the West, I would recommend picking it up. It's a fun game, especially if you have people to play with. But now with the online patch, we will have people to play with. So, very cool. That is Ragnarok Odyssey. So there you go. The next game up I'm going to review. Here's my case. This is Lumines Electronic Symphony. You'll see down here, yeah, this is an English version of the game, an American version of the game. And that is because, I'll show you the back there in case you want to see that. That is because the game's actually not out in Japan yet. Yeah, which is kind of weird because the game was developed in Japan. But the game is not out in Japan yet. It's coming out in early April, so it's about a month away here. But I did get in on Amazon's buy two, get one free sale, and this was one of the games that I got as part of that. I love Lumines. I've loved Lumines since the first game on the PSP. It was one of the launch games that I picked up. I still like to play that original. I think the music is great, so I really like Lumines. So if that biases my review a little bit, or if you don't like puzzle games at all, what I'm saying might not be accurate to you. But again, off the cuff, just my review of Lumines here. So let's talk about it. Lumines Electronic Symphony. Is it good? Yes. Is it great? Yes. Is it Lumines? Yes. Alright, review over. No, I'm just kidding. The game is really, really good. But it is Lumines. It doesn't do anything new to kind of differentiate it from its predecessors. There are some new features, some new modes that are pretty neat. But they're not like mind-blowing. Your avatars, if you've played Lumines before, you'll know you can kind of select an avatar. It's kind of what your character looks like. In previous games, it did nothing. It just showed you had a character. Cool. You could kind of customize that. But now you have avatar abilities. And these are pretty cool. So when you get your avatar ability built up, you press it, and it allows you to do things like get 3 solid blocks in a row, which will help you out if you know you have solid blocks coming. It'll guarantee that your next block will have a chain block on it, which can really help you, in a tight situation. So that's very cool. The other thing about this, which is kind of getting mixed reviews, this component of the game, is that if you sit there and tap the back pad while you play, it builds up that meter 1% for every time you tap the meter to restore your avatar ability. And before, when I first heard about this, I was like, that is the stupidest thing ever. So basically, in order to be a pro at this game, you're going to have to sit there and tap on the back the entire time you're trying to control this. That is just silly and ridiculous and stupid. But actually, and this might just be me, I'm the kind of guy who, if I hear a song I like, I'll start tapping my foot subconsciously. It's just what I do. So if you like music and you do something similar, man, I found that I would sit there and kind of tap the back of that to the beat as I was playing the game. Once I learned, once I trained my brain and my hand to do it, didn't feel weird at all. It felt kind of cool. It's kind of tapping it, do-do-do-do-do, and I would build up my meter and be able to use the thing I thought that was awesome. Yeah, so I don't mind that at all, actually, in retrospect. The only bad thing about the avatar abilities right now, and I won't go too deeply into it, there's one that is broken, and it allows you to max score the game pretty easily. Some relative newcomers probably couldn't do it, but pretty easily you could max score the game, and the max scores are posted to the leaderboard. So that's pretty annoying, that glitch or bug. And again, it's not really a glitch or a bug. It's just more like something they overlooked. It's too bad that that's actually in the game, because yeah, now so many people have the max score on the leaderboard, which that max score is probably pretty close to unobtainable, or you'd have to be pretty godly at Lumines and play for a really long time to get that max score. It's quite long. It would take quite a long time to get up to 9,999,999. My current max score is right about 1,200,000. So yeah, about 1/8 of that. So I'm not quite there yet. Still working on it. But yeah, I do like the avatar abilities. The songs, the music. This is what makes Lumines. This is a very important part of Lumines, obviously. Yeah, it's really good. First playthrough, as I played through Voyage mode, which is kind of like the looping mode where you unlock all of the tracks in the game, or most of the tracks in the game. I was sitting there thinking, yeah, I don't know if there's anything that really pops out to me my first time through. I'm really nostalgic for the original Lumines. I really like the music in the original Lumines. So yeah, nothing really popped out to me too crazily. But actually on my second, third, fourth, fifth time through, I've found quite a few tracks that I'm actually really digging. So I don't really listen to like this electronic type music very often myself. It's not really the kind of music I'm into. But they seem to put the best tracks in there. They seem to put in tracks that a guy like me would still get into and totally dig. I like music, period, just overall. So this kind of stuff, it's nice to learn about these artists. It's nice to learn about this music. And yeah, there's some really great music in there. So again, the gameplay is Lumines. It's a puzzle game. If you haven't played it before, you have 2 different colors. You have a block with 4 different sections, and that can be colored one of 2 different ways. For example, you might have gray and orange, and gray and orange, and basically you're trying to line up all the grays with all the other grays, or all the oranges with all the other oranges, as kind of a metronome type thing is sweeping across the screen over and over again, kind of with the beat, and every time that sweeps past, it will clear away any big block combinations that you have. So if you haven't seen Lumines, check out some of my gameplay videos of it. I just got one up not too long ago. But it is a very fun game if you're into puzzle games, even if you're not a big puzzle game fan. I honestly, basically, these days don't play any other puzzle games besides Lumines. They're just not really my thing, but this game is awesome. I really like music, and I would recommend if you're playing this, play it with headphones, because the music sounds amazing with headphones. Yeah, other than that, you've got online leaderboards, you've got some challenge modes, you've got a mode where you can put skins in whatever order you'd like to play them in. The only problem with that is there's no leaderboards associated with that. So you can't really make your own set of skins and then challenge your friends to play that and see what your scores are. You'd have to do it all verbally. Pick this song first, pick this song second, pick this song third, and we'll see who can get the highest score on it, type of a thing. Which is kind of too bad, but yeah, I mean it's cool that mode's in there so that you can kind of pick whatever tracks you want. So I can go through and pick all of the cool tracks and make a nice playlist there and kind of zone out while I'm playing it. That's the other thing about this game, man. I'll tell you. I will start playing Voyage mode and be like, alright, I'll play for 10 minutes or so. And before I know it, an hour and a half has passed. It's just crazy how time flies while you play this game. And it was definitely the same thing with the first one on the original PSP. This was like my airplane game. Anytime I'd get on an airplane, I'd start playing this game. And before I knew it, I would be at my destination. I could play this game for hours. It's just very fun. You zone out. You're listening to music. And it's just a very fun gaming experience. So beyond that, things I don't like about the game are pretty hard to say. I'll just get into some nitpicky things. Due to some complications, there's no platinum trophy in this game, which is too bad. They did come out and admit that they just kind of screwed up, and so that's why there's no platinum trophy. They were trying to patch it in. So we'll see if that ever shows up. There is no platinum trophy, unfortunately, for you trophy hunters. The only other thing about this game, like I said, is that it's currently kind of broken to where you can kind of exploit the avatar abilities to get a max score, which is unfortunate. So I kind of hope that they go through and fix that and wipe the leaderboards. We'll see if they get that far. I kind of hope that they do, though, just so that we can see people's real scores on these leaderboards. But other than that, this game is amazing. I'm very, very pleased with it. This will be my go-to game for quite a while now, so very happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and give Lumines Electronic Symphony a 9 out of 10. This is a great game. Very, very good. I highly recommend you check it out if you're into music, if you're into puzzle games, or if you just like games that are somewhat time-consuming and you can kind of relax while you're playing them. You can put your mind at ease. So yeah, those are my 2 games for today. So yeah, Lumines gets a 9 out of 10 and Ragnarok Odyssey gets an 8 out of 10. Both recommended if you like games in these genres, so definitely check them out. You know, I've reviewed a lot of games here, and you've probably seen most of the games I've reviewed so far. My scale has kind of been the 7 to 10 scale. I do want to just quickly raise a note about that, and I don't like to review games that I haven't played through to the end. And due to the fact that I'm busy, I only typically play games that I really like through to the end. So that's why you've only seen games on a 7 to 10 scale. You know, major publications these days, everything is on a 7 to 10 scale, so the shittiest games out there will get 7s. If I was to review really crappy games, they would definitely not get 7s. So yeah, you'll see that my scale so far, or the games that I reviewed, have been between 7 to 10. But that's just because pretty much all the games I've reviewed have been games that I've liked, and that's the reason I've played them through to the end. So that's the reasoning behind that. Other than that, yeah. That's about it for the blog today. There was a lot of info. I'm glad I was able to get this up here and get that info out to you guys. The only other thing I want to talk about, I kind of slipped up on it earlier, is they have announced Gravity Daze downloadable content. And they've also announced Gravity Daze overseas release. So let's get to that. Gravity Daze overseas release, it will be coming out in the US and in Europe in early June. There's a specific date, but sorry, I don't have it pulled up. But it is early June. And the other thing they announced with that is that it will be, of course, a downloadable game, but it will also be retail in Europe and, of course, in the States. There was some Sony rep who slipped up saying the game will only be downloadable in Europe. But no, this will be a full release. We'll have a physical copy for those of you who love physical copies. We'll have a download copy for those of you who love download copies. And this will be out in both Europe and the States in early June. Make sure you pick this game up. It's amazing. It deserves all the hype. It's a great game, so definitely look into that. And like I said, the downloadable content for this game will be coming out in a series of 3 weeks. So starting March 22nd, that day, and then 2 weeks past that, so for 3 total days, we will be getting downloadable content. This will include 3 new costumes, so every week will give us a new costume. Of course, some of these will be pretty sexy, you know, that's kind of how they do it here in Japan. But yeah, I know one of them for sure will be a maid costume. The first day, March 22nd, will be kind of like a cat bomber costume. She's kind of got a bomber costume on with like a cat looking head thing going on with goggles or whatever. It looks pretty cool though. But the other neat thing about it, it's not just costumes, but they also will be adding new challenges as well as new story missions. So pretty sweet. The game kind of, not to spoil anything, but there's still a lot of things that aren't tied up, and I highly doubt they'll tie everything up. I highly doubt they'll tie much up. But it'll be nice to see more of the story. So very cool there. Very excited about that. So yeah, these will be coming out starting March 22nd here in Japan, so I'll be sure to talk about these on a future blog. They're priced at 400 yen per week, but in 1 week you're getting, you know, gameplay missions, story missions, and costumes all for 400 yen, about the equivalent of $5. Yeah, we'll take it. I'll definitely take more Gravity Daze for that. So very cool. I'll end on that note with the Gravity Daze. Not much more to talk about right now. But again, yeah, thanks a lot for watching, guys. I got some more gameplay videos up earlier in the week. If you haven't checked those out, be sure to take a look at my Ragnarok Let's Play. I'll be upping more of that very soon. If you like the blog here and you want to hear more, go to redsungamer.com. Check out the podcast. Obviously, it's an audio podcast, but there are many hours of goodness there in the newest episode that we just upped. So very cool. Check that out. We'll be getting more of those up in the future. Yeah, and definitely look forward to the Sony conference coming up next Friday. We could have some pretty good announcements there, or we could just have some relatively solid announcements, but looking forward to that. So anyway, thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll come back at you soon with some more PlayStation Vita info. We'll see you later.